Welcome to episode 3 of the Tying Toolbox. We're going to be talking about how to add weight to your flies. We have 3 easy ways to add weight to flies, and it is probably one of the first things you're going to be doing if you are going to be adding weight to a fly. 3 ways would be add a bead or a cone head, really popular for smaller streamers as well as nymphs. We also have wire wrap. You'll see that really common in small nymphs and streamers. It's a wrap that you're going to put underneath the body. So if you just pick the fly up, you may not even know it's there, but it's a great way to conceal weight underneath the materials on a fly. Next, we have dumbbell eyes. Very popular for streamers, one of the most famous being the Clouser minnow. Dumbbell eyes can be kind of tricky to tie in, so we wanted to add that to this video to show you how to tie in dumbbell eyes. So we'll start off with beads. Even if you're using it on a streamer or potentially even a small nymph, I wanted to size up to show you how to do it. Most beads kind of have a concave area on one end and have a convex area on the other. You want to start the bead with the smaller end, and the concave end is going to be towards the fly. So we're going to get it started on this hook point. Push it down and around. Now, unfortunately, there is no good way to know exactly what bead is going to fit every hook. There's a couple of general guidelines out there on the internet, but there's no one that is 100% going to be able to tell you other than trial and error. I recommend buying a run of beads, and once you actually find a hook that you really like and you're using a lot, you'll then know exactly what beads to choose. So from here, you would move this all the way up to the front, and then from the previous video, you would start your thread right behind the bead here to work backwards to be ready to start tying your fly. When you work forwards, as you tie your fly, you're going to get to the very end. You're not going to come in front of the bead. You're going to stay behind the bead and whip finish or end your fly right at the back side of this bead. That concave shape of the bead is going to allow some of the materials to kind of slide up into the bead this way, allowing it to not have a gap in between the materials and the bead. The next common way of adding weight into a fly is with wire wrap. So they make 2 different types of wire wrap. They make lead and non-toxic. Make sure you're using the non-toxic, especially if you're fishing in areas where there are regulations about having lead in your flies or in your waterways. But I highly recommend using the non-toxic. One of the biggest tips I can give you about using wire wrap is it is pretty thick metal to be cutting. So make sure you're using either your all-purpose scissors when you cut the wire wrap, or what I also like to do is have a cheap pair of electrical cutters. That way I can cut this stuff without ever worrying about damaging my nice tying scissors. So here we have some wire wrap. This is 0.030, which is kind of a little on the heavy side. If I was going to be tying a streamer about this size, this is a size 1 streamer hook, I would be using this size wrap. Take the wrap, pull off about as much as you think you need. Again, I like to use my electrical cutters. They're pretty sharp, and I don't damage my nice tying scissors. And then we're going to wrap this on the hook, just like you would do your thread with your bobbin. Another good technique that can help you out with this is if you actually take your hackle pliers and connect that to the back end of that wire while you're still holding it here. That'll help you be able to hold that thing really nice and tight all the way forwards. We're just going to clean that up on the back end. There we go. So that's how you would add some wire wrap and add some weight to the underneath of a streamer, or potentially if you size this down a lot, you could add some weight to a nymph. You would then start your thread at the front, just like we did the previous video. We would work our thread all the way through and around to the back of the streamer hook. Trim this off. There we have it. Wrapping your thread over that weighted part will help lock it into place, and it'll be a lot easier for you to tie over the top of it, give your materials something to kind of grip and grab onto as you spin them or wrap them over the top of that wire. That's a great way to add some weight to a little bit larger fly. The last popular way to add weight to a fly is with some dumbbell eyes. So what I like to do is start my thread around where I'm going to have those eyes at. Make sure that you have a base of thread down underneath the eye. The eye won't be able to stick very well to the bare hook shank. The next thing is I like to have some standard super glue. If you're going to be fishing these things, a lot of times you're going to be banging streamers into rocks, trees, different things like that. Those dumbbell eyes can kind of come loose. I like to have these dumbbell eyes nice and tight with just a little dot of super glue. Take those eyes, lay them over the top with a thread wrap. Now there's multiple ways that you can wrap dumbbell eyes. Make an X over the fly to make some X wraps. Next, you wrap over one side of the eye, under the hook to over the other side of the eye. That really helps pull the dumbbell eyes down into the hook. Here's the last wrap I would do. This really helps lock down all of those previous thread wraps you just did, is to go in between the dumbbell eyes and the hook. And then you can really squeeze that bobbin to give it a lot of tension to help lock those eyes in place. So that last wrap really helps pull all those thread wraps super tight around those eyes. With that super glue on the bottom, those eyes are dang near immovable. Your fly will be bomb-proof. So now you know how to add weight to your flies. Stay tuned for episode 4. We're now going to be adding our first materials to our hook. We're just going to make some consecutive wraps of this caribou as we keep using our left hand to pull those fibers rearwards. So following means that we're going to wrap it around the hook, just like you might wrap a hat. We have 2 different lengths in here. We're going to be using the shorter one as a tail. Use your left hand again to help kind of preen those fibers rearwards, then finish tying it off.